What's up, guys? It's Connor, aka Conoger, and I am coming at you as a free man, a man done of school, finished of the restraints, the shackles of educational society. I am now a free hobbyist, and I can paint at my whim. Except the fact that I had a 12-hour shift yesterday, I was able to get nothing done. But I'm here with you now, and in front of you is a sexy little knobbler. Okay? So, what I'm going to be doing today is showing you guys how to do what I believe to be a pretty easy, effective fire technique. And you're going to just see how ridiculously easy it is now. If you want to see the effects of the fire, you can go back in my Noblog a couple pages, and if you're watching this on video, go check out the Noblog, the link's below. Now go to that and see the fire belly. So that's what this effect's going to look like. Now the fire belly flames have many more deep recesses than on this model. So we're going to see how this actually plays out with this technique, because it does rely a lot on a wash. Okay, so we're going to be starting predominantly on the fire, and we'll see if I feel like getting into the rest of the knobbler, which I will do in due course, and just stick them on a base somewhere. But for now, the purpose of this video, I just want to show you how to do fire. Okay, so first off, we're going to want to get our ceramic white or any type of base white. In fact, I don't even think you need the base. If you just have a layered paint like it's Scar White right here. If you have a Scar White, feel free to just throw that on there, but do a few layers of something that's seriously watered down. Okay. Now I'm going to be releasing a video probably this week, whether it's going to be a video or just a segmented post on the competition that's coming up. I have decided it's going to be a basing competition. I repeat, a basing competition. It's not going to involve the BSB. That might be something we do later on, but for now it's going to be a competition on basing. It is going to be a competition that is, how do I say this? It's a scored. You know. Wait, I'll find the word for it in just a second as soon as I get my paints here. I'm just putting the ceramic white on the wet palette here. It's going to be kind of like Swedish comp, you know what I mean? Like if you ever go to a tournament where they reduce points for certain builds, like, oh, if you take 2 Frostheart Phoenixes, you're now in a, we're deducting points down from your 20 total. But, if you do some other things, it reduces it less. So what we're going to do is make sure that people have a fair chance of winning, even if they're new to the community. So things like if you've already won competitions, if you're an experienced painter, these are all going to reduce your score in the competition. Okay? I know you're thinking, oh, that's bullshit, and that means I'm not going to win. Well, as you know, I wouldn't say the Noblog in total, but my videos, for one thing, are probably geared more at the inexperienced painter. I know they do help some of you. At least I hope, even the ones who are very experienced. But I am gearing this towards a newer type of painter or hobbyist. Okay, so that means that someone who has done less and is clearly less experienced is going to have a better shot of winning this competition. That's not to say that someone who's a superb basing artist is not going to win. I'm just saying that you will have reduced points, okay? But I still encourage everyone to get out there and try the competition. Although we still are trying to work our own, I say we are, but I'm still trying to work out just what the premises of the competition are going to be. I think I'm going to have to try to incorporate some custom things, like try to use stuff from your surrounding, look around, pick up rocks, stuff outside. I'm going to see how creative we can get. Okay? So just like that, I've based the entire piece of flame in ceramic white. It was very easy. Took so fast, in fact, I think I'm going to go on to do something else now. This is a tricky model in a sense because you don't actually see where the fire starts where it ends on the wood. So you kind of just have to guess, but there's not like a clear defined pathway that it takes onto the wood. Like there's not a like a set place like the Firebelly. So I think what we're gonna try out today, I just occurred to me because we have more time. I picked up a brown triad, more than a triad. Hell, it's like a, I don't know what the quadrad. Jeez, who knows? The full brown line from P3. Check that out. A whole bunch of browns. This may in fact end up being the, and this is whether people would rather this than 5 GW paints. The competition, I said I'm going to give away 5 GW paints of your choosing. Since I'm making this a basing competition, I'm thinking that it might be better, first off, for me to give you brown paints, because those are very valuable in making bases, and ogres in general, because they have so much leather. But it's much easier for me to access paints by P3, and they are incredible paints. I'll show you. I use lots of them. But, you know, my friend local gaming store carries a lot of P3 as opposed to GW paints. So what I'm thinking is I might instead give out a free line of P3 brown paint. New, of course. I wouldn't give you mine. You know, instead of GW paints. But we'll see what the response is from that. But in the end, it's my competition, so I'll do what I want. I also have a brown ink, which we're going to try out. So all these for the first time. And there's lots of browns on Gnoblars. It kind of depends how you want to go about the overall design. I'm probably going to make his backpack red. Reason being, I paint all of my lead belchers with a green pant. So a red will go really well with the bag and kind of shine through with color composition for the rest of the model. Okay, so we're just waiting for that white to dry. We're going to have to throw another coat on it anyways. Now it's starting to dry at the top, so we're just going to throw another quick little bedabber on there. It's very important with the flames to get a very nice thick coat of white, okay? No brown or black has to be showing through. Nothing. I promise you that. It pays off many times over. Okay, so why don't we start on some of the... It looks like his pants... So he's got very long pants. In fact, it looks like his shirt is all connected. I've always found that these Gnoblars are sometimes hard to see what exactly they're doing. You know what we'll do? We'll start with a lighter color for his top. So I think for the top, we're going to start with a Gun Corpse brown, and then I'm going to end with Rucksack tan. The equivalent of that would be, I'm totally eyeballing this. We'll see if I get this right. I would say that's probably the GW equivalent right there. Would be something like a XV68, and then finish it off with something like a Zandri Dust. In fact, the Zandri Dust looks very similar. Okay, but I just want to try out the P3s. They are great paints, and you do get more. And I do like the lid opening. To be honest, I think they're just better paints overall, besides the fact that, well, actually, no, not really besides anything. I do think they're better paints. Sorry, GW. Yeah, I do have predominantly GW paints, of course. Okay, so let's try out the Gun Corpse brown. Just open it up. This for the first time, it's always exciting. They have a neat opening technique, how it kind of does this, and you gotta... There we go. Shake that up. That's another thing I like about them. They come very, they're very already quite wet paints. So they apply very nicely. I'm sorry the lighting is not too hot today. That is because it is raining outside, and I have had to move my my painting station. It's now somewhere less than stellar for me. But I don't really have a choice, being that we're doing some renovations, and I can't have it there right now. So right here, I'm just going over his shirt area with this brown. You don't have to be careful or anything. These Gnoblars are so small that in the end, it's just so easy to touch up what you're doing with other paints of other coats of paint. I don't like this setup nearly as much as my other one, being that I don't have my big, like, shining light on it anymore, and I'm not used to shooting in such low light conditions. In fact, let's see if I move this back up, I wonder if that's going to really mess up with the picture. I hope not, because I'm going to keep that there. That makes that a lot easier for me. Okay. Wow, that brown just goes on beautifully. Just beautifully. Okay. Okay. Now that we've got that painted, let's go ahead and put a base coat just on his backpack. Oh, just throw my brush across the room. For that, I think we'll start with a Mephiston, or how about a corn? I believe the corn is darker. Yep, we're going to start with it. Corn red. Red, another color that I find extremely easy to work with. Very easy. I just find it's got a very high pigment count, whether that's true or not. It's got a hell of a lot more pigment than yellow. Yellow is, in my opinion, the hardest color to work with. Period. It's quite a difficult paint. Again, just because the pigment count is so damn low. We're just going to finish off this base coat with the red, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to progress with the fire. Pretty big week for our community, the Ogre Stronghold community, that is, as a total. Our fearless leader has returned, Hragid, or how I'm just going to call him Hagrid. I want to call him Hagrid because that's how it looks, but it's not spelt Hagrid, so Hragid, however you want to pronounce it. He has returned from the depths of the maw. He has returned from a great journey. We're all excited to see him back. I said that so monotone. We're all excited to see him back. No, we really are. It's good. And, you know, we need him in the community, being that he's the leader. Okay, so the red backpack's on. You ready to have your mind blown? Well, let me go and get the correct wash. Let's see if this is dried. Oh, it's not quite dried yet. It's not quite dried. We're going to have to wait a minute on that, I think. And in fact, I'll have to put more white on anyways. There's actually still a little bit of red on my brush. I can see a little bit of red carrying over. It's not going to matter though. It's all going to get covered. Okay, well, if that's still going, I'm going to take... Let's go with a darker brown, eh? How about an umber or a battlefield brown? Oh, that's a very dark brown. I like that. Bloodstone. Ooh, that sounds lovely. However, I think it would be better to start with a blood tracker brown. Looks a little bit more like a Mornfang brown. You're just classical brown. I use a lot of browns in my armies. It's gonna sound crazy. These paints actually they smell quite pleasant. It's weird, but they do. Sorry. Connor sniffing paint. It's like, nah, bro. He's got little Noblar toes sticking out there too that are gonna have to be in green. I wouldn't worry about it at this point. I was going to go mountain biking today, but as I said, it's pouring rain. That sucks. No exercise for you, my brother. So you have a lighter top. a light top, a darker brown bottom, and then we're gonna have to have a very dark hat probably to get like a. You don't want it to go dark light to light. I find that'll look strange. You want to go dark light and then maybe a darker color. It doesn't have to be much darker, but you kind of want to have some contrast there. Another thing to watch out for, I'm using a lot of browns, but I'm also going to have to put brown on the wood piece. Something I should have probably watched out for earlier, but that's not that big of a deal. That's okay. Again, they're just Gnoblars. I mean, it's not like when you're doing an ogre, you kind of have to pay a little bit more attention to this. Just shaking up my Mournfang brown here. Yeah, those are very, very similar colors for sure. Just got brown all over his face. I'm certainly not really on my painting game today. It's this new place that I'm painting and I hate it. I'm in one of our spare bedrooms. It's driving me up the frickin' wall. Another thing that just occurred to me is I don't think his pants actually go down that far. I think that's supposed to be green. It's not going to matter again because you can just keep going over it, but it's good to note. We'll see if this even makes it into the cut. If you're listening to this, it did make it into the cut, but I may end up just cutting right to where I do the fire. Okay, the white is dried, officially. Hopefully this works as well as it did on the fire belly. I'm going to take a wash. Cassandora Yellow. I repeat, Cassandora Yellow. I'm going to take a very large blob on my brush. I'm then going to apply that. Love the miniature. What do you think? Looks pretty good, eh? Just with a simple coat of this wash, you can get a pretty desirable effect for your fire with a nice bright orange. And it makes the white come out as yellow. Certainly has a better effect on the back piece than it does on the front. It is a much harder piece of flame to do, but that looks good otherwise. Yeah, nice. Just occurred to me too that the Gnoblarts himself is actually green, so the red will work well with this green I'm putting on. I've already told you guys this before. I start with a very dark green for my Gnoblars. The actual green is called Caliban green. It's a base green. I believe that the green starts right here. The Gnoblars don't have near the amount of detail that the ogres do. They're not exactly like perfect sculpts per se. They got some lines that could be much more defined and deeper, but again, like, we're getting them for free in these box sets, so I mean, I'm not complaining. And you know, I can't say that too, because they also do have some Gnoblars that have an incredible amount of detail on them. Notably, the one that's holding the big bag on its back with like the head sticking out of it, and the one that has the hand in the pie, or sorry, the pie that has a hand in it, I should say. Those are both really, 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 really well done models. Like, surprisingly so. So look at that. I don't know if like it can get much in the light, but look at that. Like, we've applied a green. We've put a whole bunch of colors on. I've been taping for 20 minutes. I've maybe only painted for 10. Okay, so that's great what we've accomplished right there with really no effort. We've yet to do his hat. Being that I've already used so many different colors of brown, we're going to stay away from brown at this point. But if you guys remember from my color theory video, what is one color that will not affect color composition in any way? Because it does not affect color composition, it affects saturation. If you answered gray, you're correct. We're going to paint the hat gray because gray has very little effect, none, on the overall composition of a model, and it's great to add to pre-existing colors because it can reduce the saturation. Of course, if you wanted to increase the saturation, well, it's kind of hard to increase the saturation unless you own pigment. You're doing your own, but as far as us as hobbyists go, we're often looking to decrease saturation. I'm just going to take a little bit of that Mephiston red. Just going to put a little dab on his tongue. Yep. And I will take a... I would normally start with a Rakarth Flesh for this, and then I would go to Ushabti Bone, but considering it's a Nobbler and we're doing so little work on his teeth, I'm just going to go right to Ushabti with a tiny little bit on my brush, and we're just going to... Do I have this on focus? I'm totally out of the picture. Oh god, I hope I haven't been doing that for very long. See that? So easy. I'm really excited to see how this brown ink works. I'm very new to inks entirely. I like washes. Use washes a lot. There's one thing that GW just aced is its washes. So I'm curious to see how those work. I'm curious as to whether I have a yellow ink too. I wonder what a yellow ink. I wonder what a brown. First, if a brown ink might look good just on the red backpack. I'm very curious. I'm going to put a blob of this brown ink on my palette, and we're going to find out. I may just totally wreck this backpack in one fell sweep, but I'd like to know, because if I'm using brown ink all over the model, it's very, very, very strong. You see that, guys? So important to note in future, the ink is very, very, very strong in color. If I put that on the red, I imagine that's probably just gonna... Oh, actually, it doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna put a bigger blob on here. You want a unified look over. Let's see how now this looks. I'd say that looks pretty damn good. If we're gonna go back and highlight, that's not bad. Oop. This is not bad. Okay, so verdict right now, just from looking at it, this would be fine. And keep in mind, I'm covering every single texture here except the skin and the fire with the same ink, which is kind of a little bit taboo. But I'm actually really liking how that's looking. I've heard that they dry very clear on the areas that are flat, but they get very dark in the recesses. Unless I've been misinformed about inks. So, you know, we're going to see in due course how this looks. Just going ahead and taking off a little bit of the excess in areas. Very easy to do. But what it did right away is it made the top and the bottom look, his top cloak and his pants look like they're the same color, even though we know for a fact that they were very different colors. So that's testament to how strong of a color that is. Being that that's what happened, we can go ahead and use a lighter color for his hat because it looks like they turned out to be the same color. I will go back and highlight, but that's okay.